Wow. Okay. You've sent over some really fascinating material this week. Seriously deep stuff about the universe. Thanks for sharing it.
Absolutely. And it's quite a collection we had here from Dr. Roger Paul, isn't it? We've got lecture notes, a podcast script, even a study group transcript.
Yeah, quite the package.
And it all seems to circle around part 18 of his series on, well, the big picture, origin, history, destiny of reality, specifically these things called triunities.
Triunities.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty complex just from the name. So what's our mission here? What are we trying to sort of figure out in this deep dive?
Well, the plan is to really unpack these concepts. We want to look closely at the first two triunities that Dr. Paul discusses. Figure out what they are, who's involved, and why they actually matter in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, good plan. Because honestly, looking through this, it can feel a little overwhelming, like trying to wrap your head around infinity.
It definitely can be dense stuff, no question.
So yeah, let's try and pull out the really key ideas, make it make sense without getting totally lost out there in the cosmos.
Agreed. So maybe the best place to start is that first crucial point, the difference between a trinity and a triunity, as they're laid out here.
Right. That seemed really fundamental in the nose. How do they define that difference?
Okay, so a trinity, according to these sources, is like a permanent, inseparable, they use the word corporation of three personalities.
Correlation.
Yeah. Think of it like three individuals who are so tightly bound, so unified, they act as a single unit. Always. In everything. Independent action just isn't possible within that structure.
Okay, so completely merged, like
Right.
three rivers flowing into one,
Yeah.
and they can't ever become separate streams again. Is that a fair way to think about it?
That's a really good image, actually, yes. Now, contrast that with the triunity. That's described more as a cooperative association.
Association, okay.
And this association, it could be temporary or it could be permanent. But the key thing is it allows for both collective action doing things together and independent action by the members. They team up for certain purposes, but they still retain their own distinct existence and agency.
Ah, I see. So Trinity, always together, locked in, triunity,
Mhm.
more like an alliance,
Mhm.
a partnership, potentially flexible. That's a big difference.
It really is. And there's another defining feature mentioned for these triunities.
Oh yeah? What's that?
The universal father. He's apparently present in all 7 of the known triunities they discuss. He's a core member each time.
Huh. In all 7.
Yes, and this creates what the material calls a father relationship within each triunity. It seems to be a foundational element. They even contrast these with something called triodes, which are also groups of 3, but they specifically lack that fatherly connection.
Interesting. So the father's like the common thread, the anchor in all these different groupings. It's kind of reassuring that the podcast script mentioned even Dr. Paul found these concepts tricky at first.
Absolutely. It acknowledges the depth here. It's not simple stuff to grasp immediately.
Right. So, okay, let's tackle the first one they detail. The personal purposive triunity.
Good place to start.
Personal purposive. The name itself suggests, well, a purpose, an intention behind it. Who makes up this first team?
This one consists of the big 3, you could say. The universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit, the primary divine personalities.
Okay, the core deities in this framework. So what's their specific personal purpose that brings them together in this association?
Well, that's why it's called personal purposive. It involves these 3 distinct personalities, these deities, united by a very specific goal, revealing the will of the Paradise Father.
Revealing God's will.
Exactly. To all creatures, everywhere, throughout the entire universe. It's about communication, divine intention being made known.
So they're kind of the prime messengers, making sure the ultimate plan or intent gets out there.
In a very deep, fundamental way, yes. And the sources get into the specific divine attributes each one brings to the table for this purpose.
Okay, the universal Father embodies love. And we're talking a capital L love here, not just emotion, but the first source and center, the absolute cause, the source of the cosmic pattern.
Cosmic pattern, meaning God's will playing out.
That seems to be the idea, yes. The will of God coming into fruition. He's also called the essence of infinity, the personal cause of the absolutes. Love as the absolute foundation.
Wow. That's a lot to pack into the word love. What about the Son and the Spirit in this triunity?
The eternal Son represents mercy, and the infinite Spirit embodies ministry or service. So together you have love, mercy, and ministry working as one association.
Love, mercy, ministry.
Right. Described as divinely fraternal, creature-loving, fatherly acting, and importantly, ascension promoting. They're actively working to help beings evolve spiritually.
Ascension promoting, like they're actively facilitating our spiritual journey upwards.
That's the concept. And how do they do it? Well, the material links them to things like personality bestowal.
Giving us our individuality. Yes. And spirit bestowal, the divine spark within. And mind endowment, our capacity to think, to understand, to grow. These are seen as fundamental gifts enabling spiritual evolution.
So our very sense of self, our ability to think and feel spiritually, ties back to the work of this triunity. It makes them sound less distant.
Exactly. They're involved in our very makeup. This first triunity is also called the triunity of infinite volition.
Infinite volition. Willpower.
Yes, emphasizing their active role across all of time, eternal and linear, making that divine will known. And interestingly, this can even happen subconsciously through the thought adjuster.
And that spark of the Father within us, even that's a channel for this triunity.
Apparently so. A subconscious connection is
Yeah.
guiding us towards that divine will.
That's quite something. Okay, so that's the personal purpose of triunity. Love, mercy, ministry, focused on revealing the Father's will and helping us grow spiritually. What about the second one? The power pattern triunity.
Right, the power pattern triunity. This one shifts the focus, as the name suggests, more towards the structure, the physical reality of the universe.
Okay, pattern and power. Who's in this one? Still the Father.
Yes, the universal Father and the eternal Son are members here too. But the third and fourth members are different. We have the conjoint actor.
Which is related to the infinite spirit.
Exactly. It's described as the active operational aspect of the infinite spirit. And then there's a really unique member, a non-deity entity called Paradise Isle.
Paradise Isle. Not a metaphor, but an actual thing. An entity.
That's how it's presented. Yes, a non-personal, non-deity reality. And the job of this triunity is basically to generate and maintain the physical pattern, the cosmic configuration of everything material.
Everything.
From the tiniest particles of what they might call ultimatons up to the galaxies, the super universes, the whole physical shebang.
Wow. Okay, so if the first triunity is about the why, the divine purpose and love, this one sounds like the how, the physical manifestation, the structure.
That's a great way to put it. One's the spiritual intent, the other is building the house, so to speak.
Makes sense. So tell me more about Paradise Isle. What is it?
It's described as the absolute center, the source of all physical matter and energy. It's also the origin point for physical gravity circuits. Think of it as the ultimate, unmoving material anchor of the cosmos.
The source of physical gravity.
Mm.
Okay, so how do these four members, Father, Son, conjoint actor, Paradise Isle, work together to, well, build and run the universe?
Well, the Father and Son are said to activate the paradise pattern. They sort of initiate the fundamental design and the energy flow.
Laying down the blueprint and turning on the power.
Kind of, yeah. Then the conjoint actor, working through the infinite spirit's power, manages the spiritual and mental gravity circuits. This is key. It acts as the bridge, the interface between those non-material realities and the physical reality anchored by paradise.
Wait, gravity plural. I thought gravity was just...
Yeah. Well, in this model, there are four distinct types. There's personality gravity, drawing persons towards the Father. Spiritual gravity, linked to the Son and spiritual values. Mental gravity associated with the spirit or conjoint actor, governing mind, and then physical gravity, the one we know, rooted in paradise, governing matter.
Huh. Personality, gravity, spiritual, mental, physical. Four kinds. That's a much bigger picture of connection than just stuff pulling on other stuff.
It really is. It suggests a universe interconnected on multiple levels, all held together by these different gravitational influences, if you will.
Okay, so you have the pattern set by Paradise, activated by Father and Son,
Yeah.
managed across different levels by the conjoint actor. What about the actual stuff of the energy and matter? How does it get organized?
The material talks about cosmic agents of the third source and center. These sound like intelligent forces or controllers.
Like what? Angels? Robots?
It describes them as operating on different levels: finite, which is our level; absonite, which is sort of between finite and infinite; and morontial.
Urantia. We've heard that term. Remind me.
Morontial is that transitional state, the bridge between the purely material and the fully spiritual. It's like a phase of existence, particularly for beings who are ascending.
Okay, so sort of matter-spirit hybrid realm.
You could think of it that way. And these cosmic agents, operating across these finite, absonite, and morontial levels, act as the physical and mechanical controllers. They take the raw energy and shape it, organize it according to that fundamental paradise pattern.
So it's not just random energy clumping together, it's being actively organized according to a design.
Precisely. Energy patterned after paradise. It's quite fascinating. The podcast script you sent actually links this idea of fundamental particles, maybe the ultimatons, to the discovery of neutrinos in modern science.
Really? Drawing a parallel there.
Yeah, suggesting that maybe our science is just starting to glimpse the edges of these deeper structures described in the source material.
Okay, that is interesting. So we've got the first triunity, love, purpose, personal, and the second, power, pattern, physical structure. Are these just two separate operations running in parallel?
Oh, not at all. The sources really stress that they aren't separate. They're described as complementary, and the word used is antipodal.
Antipodal, meaning like opposites.
Opposite, but in a balancing, essential way. Like north and south poles. You can't have a functioning whole without both. Both triunities are crucial for the universe, as described here.
So, two sides of the same cosmic coin. Love and pattern, purpose and power.
Exactly. One representing the personal, relational heart of God, the other representing the organized, structured manifestation of reality. They need each other.
Okay, I think I'm getting a clearer picture of the cosmic mechanics here.
Yeah.
But how does all this vast, almost abstract machinery connect to us, to you, the listener, to our own spiritual lives?
Well, that's where it gets really personal. The material makes a direct link. It defines religious experience not as just believing doctrines, but as having a real, practical, personal relationship with the universal Father.
A relation.
Yes. Expressed through faith, through love, and through the moral choices we make every day. Understanding these triunities, then, isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's like understanding the cosmic environment within which that personal relationship actually happens.
So knowing about the love-purpose triunity and the power pattern triunity helps us understand the context for our own connection to God.
That's the idea. It provides the framework.
Yeah.
And the video content touched on something very human, too. Why we often struggle to fully, surrender to God or a higher power.
Yeah, that's definitely a common struggle. Why did they say that happens?
It suggests it often comes down to fear. Fear of letting go of things we're attached to, even if they're harmful. Things like, addictions, maybe unethical habits, things we know aren't good for us, but we cling to anyway.
That makes sense. The comfort of the familiar, even if it's a damaging familiar.
Right. But the teaching here is that if you genuinely open yourself up to experiencing that divine love, the love embodied by the first triunity, those harmful attachments tend to just naturally fall away.
Naturally. Not through sheer willpower against them.
More like they lose their power, their appeal. Your priorities shift. You start caring more about, say, family, community, serving others. It's presented as a consequence of embracing love, not a prerequisite for it.
So love dissolves the attachment rather than you having to fight the attachment first.
That seems to be the core message, which leads to a really practical point they make. Any job, any activity can become service to God if you approach it with that divine intention.
Really, any job.
If it's done with love, with a desire to serve, with integrity, yeah. It's not limited to what we think of as religious work. It's about bringing that divine alignment into your everyday life.
Imbuing the ordinary with the sacred.
Exactly. And the Spirit of Truth and the Holy Spirit are mentioned too as the operational arms of these divine personalities, actively helping us connect, helping that divine influence work in our lives.
So it all ties together. The cosmic structure isn't just out there. It's actively reaching into our personal lives, facilitating that connection.
That's the picture painted, yes. Providing the foundation and the means for our relationship with the Father to grow.
Okay, let's try and sum this up then. We started with the key difference. Trinities are permanent, inseparable units, while triunities are cooperative associations, often involving the Father.
Right. Then we looked at the first one, the personal purpose of triunity. Father, Son, Spirit, their job. Revealing the Father's will through love, mercy, and ministry, helping us ascend spiritually.
Got it. And the second, the power pattern triunity. Father, Son, conjoint actor, and paradise isle. Their focus is the physical universe, creating and maintaining its structure, its pattern, rooted in paradise.
And critically, these two aren't separate. Love and pattern, purpose and power, they're interconnected, complementary aspects of the one reality. both essential.
And we saw how this cosmic framework connects right down to our personal religious experience, our relationship with the Father, and even how overcoming personal struggles is seen as a natural result of embracing divine love.
Exactly. It connects the infinite to the intimate.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe mull over?
Well, perhaps think about how understanding these huge, complex, divine relationships, these triunities, might shed light on your own spiritual path. How does considering this interplay of divine love and cosmic pattern resonate with your own sense of connection, or maybe disconnection from the universe? It might prompt some interesting reflections on where the personal meets the cosmic in your own life.